Hi, welcome back to Blue Mountain Bushcraft and Outdoors. Pretty excited to be back with you guys today. I've got a review of a pretty nice knife that I think you guys are going to be interested in seeing. If you want to see a knife review, don't go anywhere. So a while back, I was watching a YouTube video, I think it was Bush Camping Tools, and he was reviewing a knife from a company that I'd never heard of before. The company is Tuff Gear. Tuff Gear is a small company. It's based out of Taiwan. The knife looked pretty neat, but needless to say, I was kind of skeptical. Long story short, I got into contact with the owner of Tuff Gear, Victor Lin. He asked if he could send me one of his knives to give him some feedback on. So I agreed, and he sent me this particular knife, which is an older version of the Tuff Gear Elbrus. This is a survival style knife, hard use knife, features Bohler K110, which is a high grade D2 steel, sculpted G10 grips, and it came with a very nice Kydex sheath. So earlier this year, Victor surprises me by sending this. This is a brand new Elbrus, except instead of in the Bohler D2 steel, this one is in high carbon SK85. But I didn't realize that this was, when he sent me the knife, this was a one-off. He had not made any others in SK85 steel. SK85 is a Japanese high carbon tool steel. It is a fairly simple steel. It's not one of the CPM steels. It's kind of analogous to, say, 1080, but it's got some more stuff going on with it. It's tough, it holds an edge well, and it's not hard to sharpen in the field. So what we're going to do today is we're going to test the shit out of this thing. We're going to go above and beyond normal testing, and we're going to abuse this knife and see just what the SK85 Tuff Gear Elbrus is made of, what it can handle, and after I damage the edge, which I can't imagine I'm not going to damage the edge, we're going to see what it takes to bring it back. Alright, if you want to see that happen, stick around. This is the factory edge angle. All I've done is strop it between uses. Let's see if I can do this on camera. Without slicing myself, but this thing's pretty wicked sharp. So everyone batons their knives to show how tough they are, but that's typically batoning a piece of wood and splitting it for firewood. We probably do a little bit of that today too, but I think what I'm going to do right now is baton this straight through across the grain of this. I don't even know what this stuff is, but it's hard. Let's see how she does. Huh. That almost wasn't fair. Let's try something a little bigger. I've done some chopping tests on this down tree before. This thing's a beast. It's pretty tough. That's kind of ridiculous. That's some good flex in there. Still shaves. Okay, so we're going to choose a different piece of wood here. We're not going to go with this easy downed hemlock. This one under it, with all the moss on it, is a piece of oak. That oak's been sitting here for, as you can tell, quite a long time. And this stuff, when it's in this state, gets to be almost petrified. It is hard as hell. So if anything is going to mess with this knife, this red oak will. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what this tip's made out of. Just prying chunks out of that red oak. That tip's in perfect shape, and this thing's tough. So there was a little bit of rot in the top of that last one. There's still a lot of tough stuff in there, but beyond the first maybe quarter inch here, this thing feels pretty solid. I don't know if you can see this, but as I'm popping these pieces out, this blade's flexing like crazy. That's still straight as an arrow. The whole blade is straight. That edge is still catching my thumbnail. It's lost a little bit of edge, but it's still very functionally sharp. Let's pause here, give it a couple of shots in the strop, see if it comes back to a razor. Let's just see, with a few passes on a strop here, what we can do with this SK85. Well, let's see how she does. You see that? Right back to a razor. All right, guys, you've seen some of the pretty abusive cross-grain batoning, the abusive tip testing. So far, this Elbrus hasn't even shrugged, and the little bit of edge that it did lose was brought back to hair shaving sharp in like 15 seconds on a strop. One of the reasons why I really like these kind of steels. Let's do a one stick fire. But instead of choosing some of that nice soft pine or hemlock that's over there, let's do it with this piece of red oak. And this is a hard use survival knife, so I've already been stupid with it. Let's continue. Choke up into this grip, use this choil, and see if we can feather red oak. Say it did that all right. What have we learned about this Elbrus so far? Thing's tough as nails. We've cross-grained baton with it. We've split wood with it. We've chopped with it. We've used it for fine carving for making feather sticks. The handle is comfortable in all positions. Even when choked up here and bearing down, if you're bearing down really hard, you'll start to get a little bit of discomfort in through here, but that's only natural. When you're holding it back here, you've got more support for your hand. That's not an issue, not at all. The tip is extraordinarily strong. Everything's still straight, despite everything that we did with it after, what was it, 10-15 seconds on a strop. This thing was back to hair shaving sharp again. I brought a couple of other knives just for comparison purposes. We're not going to do any direct comparisons, but just so you can kind of see where things are at with the Elbrus. This is SE6, kind of an iconic survival knife. See, these are very, very, very close in design. Same kind of design, same purpose, similar steels. But I gotta tell you, I prefer the feel of the Elbrus. This thing just feels fantastic in your hand, or at least it does in mine. The other one that I've heard this compared to when I posted pictures of it before was the Tuff Tahoma field knife. So there are some design elements that are similar, without a doubt. Handle shape is completely different. Obviously the Tahoma is a much bigger blade, but there are definitely some similarities there. cutting edge is about 6 3/4. Total blade length is back here to the ricasso, about 7 inches, and about 5 inches on the handle. Handle does have an exposed pommel with a lanyard loop. You've got 2 screws holding each scale in place. Nice saber grind. It's relieved here on the top, but drawn out to the tip to give that tip that strength that you saw. Overall, I think this knife is capable of taking anything you want to dish out to it in the woods. But survival isn't just about the woods, is it? Let's see what else this thing can take. So the Elbrus did fantastic up in the mountain. Nothing I did to it really had much of any effect other than to very slightly dull the edge a little bit. But a survival knife might be called upon to do more than just woods duties. Let's see what else this thing can do. I'm going to remind you right now that the stuff I'm going to do here is gross abuse. Don't do this to your knife if you like your knife. First, let's see if we can't baton do some nails. Let's take a look at what happened here. You see we do have some edge damage, which I fully expected. This didn't happen until I wailed on it this last time and really smashed it pretty hard. Didn't go all the way through the nail. It did pretty well. Again, this is gross abuse. If you look at the edge though, the edge is rolled, it's flattened, and it's deformed. That's a pretty good sign. We should be able to fix that without too much trouble. Let's see what else we can do to this thing. See what we can do about taking apart this pallet. All right, let's take a look again. By holding on to the Elbrus back here with a 2 or 3 finger grip, you can get a lot of leverage on it, really do some pretty good chopping. You saw prying this thing was no issue whatsoever. We've got a little bit of extra damage there. That occurred when I chopped directly into this nail. Again, gross abuse. Let's take a look at that. Where is it? There it is. Should be repairable. I'll say it again, if you enjoy having your knives in good condition, don't do some of the stuff that I just did. Chopping into nails, chopping into cinder blocks is gross abuse. But that said, the Elbrus took it like a champ. Didn't come through with no damage at all, but it didn't come through with anything irreparable. So what we're going to do to prepare it, at least for now, is I'm going to use some common stuff that a lot of people seem to like to use. The Work Sharp field sharpener, the DC4, and just finally a strop. See how much of the steel we can move and realign. Just want to do this until you feel those rough spots even out. All right, we've begun to realign that edge a little bit. Start pushing some of that steel back up where it was pushed out of the way by metal. We've still got a little bit going on here. You can still feel some burrs in through here. Quite honestly, right now, it's a working edge. Alright guys, it took about 10 minutes using the DC4 and the Work Sharp. Finished off with a few strokes on the strop, and we're back to shaving. It's not as shaving sharp as it was when we first started the day. It's not popping hair off, but it is shaving again, even in the areas that were damaged. It's a pretty good testament to the steel. We've got a couple of spots left in there. A large one here, and just a few real tiny nicks that are still left in the edge. Those I'm going to work out later on some of my better equipment. As it is right now, this knife is fully usable. It's sharp, it cuts. There's no permanent damage here. Like I said, this one little bit here seems like has some chipping going on, but that's it. That's not too bad for smashing nails and cinder blocks and digging into nails in that pallet and prying and all the other crap that we did to this. I'm sure if I tried really hard, I could probably break this knife, I suppose. But as it stands, I've pounded on it, I've abused it. Handles are still tight, they're still solid. There's no gaps opening up anywhere. It still feels fantastic. A couple of minutes with some simple hand tools took probably 98% of the damage out of that edge and brought that back up into where it's a good solid working tool again. Guys, this thing is tough. Super tough. I'm really impressed with it. This SK85 steel and the heat treat that Tuff has on it is pretty fantastic. This particular model is going to be releasing for everyone in SK85 here pretty soon. They've got a whole bunch of different designs out there, so check them out. I'll put the links down below and go see if you can find something you like. These things are, I don't know, $120, something to that effect. For the craftsmanship you're getting, the quality that you're getting a fantastic sheath, great handles, the whole package. Doesn't need anything. Nothing. You don't have to replace anything. No aftermarket grips. No aftermarket sheath. It's good to go right out of the box. That's impressive. So if you're in the market for something like this, or you want to see what else they got, see if they have anything else that appeals to you, go check out Work Tuff. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. All right, guys. Good seeing you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.